Here we go. Okay, so I was speaking, I got to listen to my teacher speak the other day, and she was talking about how she's like, I've been hearing that a lot of people have been very anxious lately, and I was like, oh my gosh, really? I'm not alone? And we're kind of digging into this difficult space that we're in, where it's like, okay, so I started dating somebody a little while ago, and we're still in that space where like we don't know where this is heading. Like we're not comfortable establishing like, terms of like, what are we doing here? And so not being at that place and not knowing when we're going to get there is incredibly unsettling. You have this like, I don't know, does he actually care, want things? I don't know. Do I? I'm not sure either. And it just like, it gets like, you get a little frazzled about it. And it takes away from that like grounded space. We've been working on grounding a lot lately, because when we get into that like anxious outside space, we lose this connection with our foundation, because it's like you forget where your foundation is because other things have been uprooted. Like, what does the end of this pandemic look like? We don't know. We don't know when it's going to happen. And so that gets us outside of ourselves because we're concerned about this thing that we don't know when it's going to arrive, and we don't know what it's going to look like. And what we do know is the ground upon which we stand is this very moment right here. And being here now is the only place where we can be in truth, because the human brain is very, very strange, and it's completely screwed up your perspective of yesterday or this morning, just as much as it screws up your perspective of what's going to happen next week or next year. The only thing that we can really identify with completely is this present moment, and to be deeply levelly in this space, in this time. And when we're able to kind of come down to earth, when we're able to come out of that like frazzled what if space and come back down here, it begins to ease everything. Like if you can just like make a thought like, okay, what's next week going to be like? What do I have to do at the grocery store? Like we start to get a little bit like revved up and ready for something, and it lifts us. So instead of being in that space, in that wrapped up space, maybe like attempting to get a little bit more in this space, into our seat, into our body, and into our breath. So we're going to begin with some Sitali breath together. The Sitali is that frosted Cheerio breath, that tiny little O of your lips. We'll have a very cooling, soft practice today, very much rooted into the earth. We'll begin by cooling the body with the breath. So you make a tiny little O with your lips and kind of sort of stick your tongue out at the bottom. And then breathing through, it's like you have a straw in between your lips. Breathing in and out. And as you continue this breath, bringing yourself into this moment, focusing your awareness in your mouth, you're going to feel this connection with the earth that goes right all the way down through the spine, right into your pelvis, wherever you happen to be sitting, however you happen to be sitting, and what you're sitting on. Feel the connection you have with your foundation. Notice the different sensations around your mouth and around your throat as you're breathing in this way that's a little bit unusual. Even if it's not new to you, it's probably not the way that you breathe all day long. So how is this different? What is true about the experience of breathing like this right now? Take another full round of breath like this, relaxing your mouth, breathing a little bit more naturally or more normally, perhaps in and out through the nose. Trying to keep your breath as calm and as easy as you can, continuing to calm our frazzled nervous system, to slow down and prevent the spread or overreaching amount of heat. We'll begin our practice releasing 3 ohms together. And even as you take a big breath in, see if you can do it with softness to keep that heat build sort of low. Take your big inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. Blinking your eyes open. I'm going to come to sit over on your right hip and let your legs open over towards the left. And they could be out a lot more. Maybe you'll sit kind of leaning into your right hip. If your knees bend in a little bit closer, you might be able to find more of that seat on your own. And then take your right fingertips and walk them back. Just place your left hand on your right thigh. And look over your right shoulder and look down at your right shoulder. So get a bit of a twist. And twists can be sort of heat building. They can become very intense. So instead of seeking intensity in this twist, just breathe softly in your belly. Just kind of wringing us out to start us off. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. And start to release your twist. So you'll come back to face to the front. We'll just take 1 round of breath, twisting the other way. Breathing in and breathing out. And then you're going to start to come forward over your shins. So you might kind of open your feet out a little bit more, your legs into this pinwheel shape, and then walking your hands forward over your right shin. And when we are really, really warm, especially around the hips, our bodies will tend to be more mobile. So you might notice that there's maybe a little bit more space than there would be at other times this early in your practice. And just make sure that you're not driving into that too much. Don't go too far. You can maybe take it slow as you experiment with how much space is there today. Take 3 more easy, slow breaths. When you finish that 3rd exhale, Start to slowly walk your hands back, and then bring your hands back behind you. You might stay here on your fingertips, letting your left hip lift up to stretch the front of this thigh. If you feel like elbows would be good today, you're welcome to do that. Really try to keep that knee down though. So if the hip lifts up, great. You could give it a massage, perhaps. And take another breath in and out. Take your left hand over so that you can walk yourself up. I'm going to take the legs out in front, knees bent, feet down. Just kind of roll the knees side to side. And then take the legs over towards your right side. They might be in kind of close, they might be farther away, and you might be more or less onto this hip. And then you're going to take your right hand to your left thigh, and your left arm is for support. And then you're just going to let this twist kind of soften into your belly and roll around over towards the left side. Our seat is uneven here, but we still have a seat. We still are grounded, so feeling that. Looking over at your left shoulder and down at your left shoulder. Softening your jaw, the eyebrows. Breathing in and breathing out. One more round of breath. And then taking this twist and a small movement onto the other side, just so that we're a little bit more even. Finish your exhale. And then come out to face towards the front. We're gonna take these legs and shift them into more of that pinwheel space. So I don't have that footing close to me, I've got some room. And then walking forward over the left shin. I didn't think I was that hot, but I'm having even more difficulty with right and left than usual. So good luck, everyone. If you find more space making itself available to you, you can slowly explore that. Big breath in. Softly breathing out. Take another round of breath. Really try to relax and ease into your exhale. Then begin to bring the hands back so they come back behind you. Leaving your right knee down, you might roll the right hip forward a little bit. You might come down onto one or both forearms. Really trying to leave that knee down and let the hip and the thigh open and lift. One more round of breath like this. And then take your right hand over to the side and walk yourself up. And then take the legs out in front of you. Just gonna give a little roll side to side. And then coming down onto your back. Leave the soles of the feet down. Let the knees knock against each other. Your arms rest out by your sides, palms facing up. take a few moments to relax the muscles in your face. Notice if your arm bones are pulling upwards away from the floor. Perhaps you can feel those arm bones roll backwards towards the floor. You get a little bit more space in your chest here. Notice where you feel the feet on the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. And making your knees face up, you might walk your feet in a little bit if they were very wide. And taking your right ankle onto your left knee. Right arm goes in between the legs and holds onto the left leg, or you leave everything down and just try to balance your pelvis here. If you do have your legs lifted up, can you balance the pelvis? Sometimes we're rolling over one side or the other. As you keep that slow, easy breath moving, keep checking in with the sensations that you feel of your connection with the ground. Keeping our awareness low and steady. Taking a big breath in and a big breath out. You're going to take your right hand and hold on to your right leg, probably putting the left foot down, and then take your left fingertips and you're going to give your toes a massage. You can do this little piggy or the fingers in between your toes. It kind of just depends on how much you're able to reach. And then take your left thumb and try to get the ball of your foot a little bit, the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound and everything in between. And work your way down the foot, giving yourself a bit of a massage. Squeeze around the heel. And then set your foot down. And rock the hips a little bit side to side. And then take your left ankle onto your right knee and staying here, or the left arm goes in between and holds onto your right leg. I feel like it's a little easier to think of that balancing the hips idea when you're holding on to that leg. When the one foot's down, like you have this really uneven space in your hips, it can be kind of hard to rest both hips on the mat. And it's fine if it doesn't quite work out that way. It's just something to focus on and consider. A tool to stay present. So considering the breath, and this low positioning of the body as things we can focus on to stay here now. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then take your left hand and hold onto the left leg. ahead and set your right foot down if you had it lifted up. Take your fingers and massage around the toes. And using your thumb to knead at the balls of your feet around the pinky toe and around the big toe and in between. Moving your thumb around in your arch and then working your way all the way down towards the heel, giving it a good squeeze around that flesh. And then setting your foot down. I'm going to let the knees open up and the feet come together. In this inner thigh space open, maybe using the fingertips at the sides of the thighs to be supportive if that helps. Staying here as you breathe in. Softening a bit more as you breathe out. Use your fingertips to draw your knees back towards each other. Then open your arms into a T and leaving the feet on the floor, just go ahead and roll the knees over towards the right side and the legs are kind of together. Just kind of tilted that space over. Think of relaxing that left collarbone down a bit more. One more exhale. And then moving the knees over towards the other side. You'll notice we're keeping any of our twists today very open. Still finding this mobility in this lower back release, but not getting too tightly wound. Big breath in. Big breath out. And starting to come back to the middle with those legs. You're going to stretch the legs out in front of you. Stretch the arms back behind you. Get a little side body stretch. Reaching out right side and left side. And take a big inhale. Reach out just as far as you can. Long exhale and deflate yourself with it. Try that one more time. Inflate yourself. Fill yourself up. And then let everything deflate. Just slowly seep out and relax. And then take both of your feet over towards the left side of your mat. And then take your right wrist and you're going to hold on to the right wrist with your left hand and give it a little stretch up and over. Your right hip might have got a little bit more light on the floor. Can you let both hips rest into the floor? Breathing in. Breathing out. Relax your right wrist. Let it take both feet over towards the right edge of your mat. You're going to take the left wrist this time. Maybe kind of slide your torso over a little bit towards the right side as you extend out through the left side. Resting both hips down. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then undoing that side bend, coming back to the center. Lay your arms down by your sides, palms facing up. Just take 3 long, slow breaths. Just checking in with how soft and easy you might feel after taking the pause for the breath, after lying on our backs for so long. And then start to roll over so that you're just kind of facing maybe towards your screen or maybe onto your right side, just depending on where you're at. I'm going to lay out, walk your bottom arm out maybe a little bit more so that you're long on that side, and then find fallen tree pose. So I want to try not to hinge at the hips. It can be a little bit more challenging to take your hand up onto your thigh, or instead you can leave the fingertips down, giving yourself a little boost. Try to relax your head into your arm. Get long through your supporting side, the side that's on the floor. Maybe you open that knee a little bit more. And now notice what might have happened with your breath, with any other faces that will tell you, oh, I'm not quite so relaxed right now. I'll just have like a lot more stimulus going on, even in this very slight shift. We'll relax some of that stimulus. Go ahead and extend that leg out. And you can roll over and do tree on the other side, fallen tree. Or I'm just going to flip myself over. Not facing you is weird. And you'll lay down. Trying to make a long line. And then your top leg is going to come up. And it could very well be like much further down your leg. You have to have it up on your thigh. Maybe your hand goes onto your thigh, maybe the fingertips are down. Notice what your top shoulder is doing. Is it trying to rise up and maybe protect you against anything? Notice if that's helpful or if it's even enjoyable. I don't know why my shoulder does that all the time. I don't even like it. And breathing in and breathing out. One more round of breath, maybe fall over a little bit. Go ahead and relax that shape. You're gonna roll onto your back now. Extend the feet out once more, arms by the sides. Consider the state that you were in when you left this Shavasana just a few minutes ago. See if you can soften back into that space. Finding those long, slow breaths, maybe even a Satali breath. One more full inhale and exhale. Start to roll over onto your belly. So you'll come to rest your head on your arms, your forearms. Maybe wiggle your hips out. Then wiggle your feet a little bit further back. And take your arms back. Try to hold hands with yourself, or you can reach your fingertips back on their own. And come up into Shavasana, locust pose, giving a little bit of a chest stretch. Ears out of your shoulders. Take one more breath in. Big exhale. Release yourself down. Hands under your shoulders. Press yourself up so that your hips come up above your knees, and then walk your hands forward into puppy dog. If you need to pad up your knees here, we're gonna stay for just one pose on each side after this. So not a lot of time, but better to take the time to set yourself up for a good time, even if it's a short time.
Just giving this moment to let the backs of our legs air out a bit. Softening the heart down as you exhale. And then walking the hands back in, so they're about underneath your shoulders. And you'll take one arm and just thread it underneath, laying on the outside of your shoulder. I would recommend leaving the other hand, the one that didn't move, right where it is. Maybe you can reach it up and over if this is comfortable to you. If this is not comfortable or it feels like maybe a little scary, not worth it, just go ahead and leave this hand in. The only thing about this is that it does give us a little bit more space, more open alignment of the body, which can be nice because we kind of need some more breeziness. Just notice what your mind is doing here. One more breath. And then slide. If you have that hand out, slide it back in. The one that's underneath your body, you're going to unwind yourself, come back in a table pose, and then just slide onto the other side. Maybe you take that arm and walk the hand over your head. Maybe you leave it underneath your shoulder. And just notice what your mind is doing. Probably you're not doing this wrong, unless it hurts, in which case we should adjust that, but not really a right or a wrong way to do a lot of things. There just is what we're doing, and if we can stop worrying about whether or not we're doing it wrong all the time, maybe we can just do it and be there. And be in a better space because of it. Take an inhale. Take an exhale. And then draw that arm over your head back in. Unwind the bottom arm. Back in a table pose. And then we're going to come up into a little squat. So you're going to bring your feet up, hips back. You bring your elbows onto your thighs. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then feet are pretty wide here. Come into a little bit more of a forward fold. You might leave your hands on your legs and just try to relax your head down. Maybe your hands are on the ground. They don't have to be. Your knees can be very bent. And then bring your hands back up to your shins if they were on the floor. And then back up towards your thighs. Bring yourself up. Give yourself a moment just to settle, maybe a little bit more of a moment than we might usually because it is really hot. I'm glad that some people have air conditioning. I don't. We're going to take tray pose as one of our first standing shapes. So you might come close to something. You might find some space on your own. Bottom toes face forward. The lifted knee faces out. Trying to keep the fronts of your hips open. Lifting up the front of the pelvis to keep the belly engaged. Take your arms somewhere open. And feeling this connection, the foundation, the foot into the floor. And finding freedom and space. Open, it's an open shape, it can be very breezy. Big breath in and out. And relax your arms down, set your foot down. Maybe shake it out a little bit. And then finding the other side. Bringing the other foot up, we're lifting the front of the pelvis, rooting down. And then find an open shape in your arms. Even though we're trying to stay open in this space, to stay a little soft with ourselves, still have a strong connection with the earth. As soon as we get kind of like bogged down in it, and then our glutes are actually working in not an effective way. So push down, breathe in. Exhale, release the arms, the foot, wiggle things out a little bit. I'm going to take the legs kind of wide here. Make the heels back, hands at your hips, elbows back, shoulders back, and come forward about halfway. And then you're going to bend into your right knee, sitting your hips back. So I do bend this leg, and my hips go back, not the knee forward, but the hips back. A little bit more space in here. Exhale. And draw the belly in, come all the way up. Find the other side, so we'll go forward with the heart, back with the hips, and then bending into your left leg, sending the hips back. Big exhale. Coming on up. I'm going to turn the toes all the way over towards the right side, and then shift your hips back, slide your right hand down, and then first open your right or left collarbone, then maybe you open the hand. Ears away from your tailbone, tailbone away from your ears. Feeling both feet support you so the rest of you can find some softness. Big exhale. Draw your belly in, coming all the way up. And then shifting your feet over towards the other side. Gliding your hips over towards the right. Gliding the left hand down your leg as far as it comfortably goes. Open your collarbone and either stay here with the hand on your hip or open your arm. It's absolutely fine, whichever one you choose, as long as it seems like the right choice for you right now. And you still breathe long and slow. And see if you can open your top ribs just a little bit more, just to make sure that you're not folding inwards. Take exhale. Strong feet, strong belly, hands to your hips coming on up. And then bring your feet in about hip width apart. Now your palms face forward, the arm bones roll back. Maybe you lift and spread out your toes before setting them back down. If you feel steady, close your eyes and just feel yourself standing in space, firmly on 2 feet. The fronts of the hips are lifted up, the shoulder blades are dropping down, the backs of the ears are ascending. Standing in this steady, even space. Big inhale. Big exhale. And opening your eyes if they were closed. Bringing your hands to your hips, keeping your feet about this hip width distance apart. Bring your left foot forward and your right foot back and probably turn out those right toes a little bit. Draw your elbows back. And then can you find, once again, standing on 2 feet, like maybe you were kind of shifted over one way or the other. So find 2 feet again, even though they moved. And then keep those 2 feet as you lean your heart forward over that front thigh. Both hips are balanced. Maybe you find that steady space in your breath because you're still standing on 2 feet. Not quite as odd as we might feel it is. One more breath in. One more breath out. Draw your belly in, come on up. We'll step the back foot forward and step the left foot back, finding again that hip width space. Back toes are out a little bit, not all the way. Hips are balanced, you can stand on 2 feet. And keeping those 2 feet as you lean your heart forward over that front thigh. with a long spine, as steady and slow of breath as you can manage. Breathing in, breathing out. Strong belly lifting you all the way up. Step the back foot forward. And then standing up at the front of your mat space, feet about hip width apart, toes facing forward. Take an inhale and reach your arms up. Long, slow exhale to take your hands down at your heart. Do this 2 more times. Inhale, big arms circle up. Long, slow exhale, taking the hands back down to your heart. Again, breathing in. Breathing out. Circle the arms up again. When you get the arms up, spread out your fingertips. Really push up from the outsides of your shoulders, arms getting a little bit more toned and invigorated. Exhale, bend your knees, fold all the way down. You're gonna put those hands down on the ground, walk your feet back until you find downward dog with just that same kind of expansive shoulders out through the hand space as you had. One more breath in like this. Exhale, lower your knees down, and then come to take a seat. Bringing the soles of your feet in, rocking around or manually adjusting the flesh that you find yourself in this bound angle pose. Letting the backs of your ears lift, finding a tall spine. Letting your leg bones just kind of melt downwards towards the floor. So not pushing them, but leaving yourself open for the space. Big breath in. Soften something when you breathe out. Do that one more time. Release your feet. Now take the right leg out and then bring the left leg somewhere that's comfortable too. So it might be in a lot. Maybe both legs are open if having the knee bent is just feeling a little bit off today. Lift up your right toes, bring your right hand a little bit closer towards them, and then take your left arm up and over and try to soften this belly space. So you have a really big stretch across your back, either looking directly forward or down towards your right leg if that feels a little bit better. Relax your left hip down. And you're going to keep reaching out over your right leg as you soften your left hand down and kind of turn yourself in towards this thigh. Maybe you frame the leg with your hands. Maybe you have to lift up a little bit more to feel a little bit more soft in this space. You might actually walk your hands more forward, especially over time. Can you relax both hips down in this space? Breathing in, breathing out. Walk your hands back in, up and towards you. And switch your legs, so you'll take your left leg open and slide the right one in, unless both legs were open, as we said was possible or available. And then your toes will be lifted. We'll bring the left hand over towards them, and then finding this side stretch. And yes, I want my chest to be open, but I can also open the upper back by rolling that shoulder blade in a little bit. Sometimes looking out in front of you feels good. Sometimes looking down feels a little bit softer in the neck, so you can make those adjustments. Breathing in. As you breathe out, soften yourself. And in that soft space, start to turn yourself over towards that left leg, maybe walking yourself in more, maybe backing yourself up. You can always bend this leg too. It's not about what it looks like or what it should look like. It's about how it feels. It's about softening the back side of the body, about turning inwards. Take another inhale, another exhale. Start to walk your hands up. We're going to take the legs back together again, so the feet back together again, and then see if you can fold in this time over your legs. I've got a little bit more space now, giving myself room to come forward. You might bring your feet a little bit closer if that feels better to you, or farther away. Just take a few breaths. You could be only a little bit in. Wherever you're at is fine. Let it be fine for you. One more exhale. And start to lift yourself up. You're going to take your legs forward, a little bit wider than hips maybe, not very wide. You can leave your hands on your legs, maybe roll your chin down. If you feel tension in your lower back, if you have like a pillow or a blanket you've been sitting on, sometimes that helps just to give the hips a little boost and support. Maybe you feel a little bit more easy in your hold. You might come in quite a lot. I recommend finding a way to like rest your elbows down if that is as far as you can fold, like getting the elbows somewhere. You can use your hands too, but if you have your elbows, I'll like let the elbows support you. Keep thinking wide and expansive in your lower back. Maybe you come forward a lot, maybe you don't. Notice if your breath is still smooth and long, or if it has begun to do other things. Take a breath in and a breath out. Start to use your hands to lift yourself up. We'll take the hands back behind us, so just up on fingertips here. Roll the elbows back and the shoulders back and let the heart come up and forward. Big breath in. Big exhale. Soften the shape. And then start to take yourself down onto your back. If there's something you want to be handy for Shavasana, then grabbing that. Meet you down there. Let the knees be bent. Drop the arms down by your side, palms open. Take a moment to greet the ground again. It's a familiar shape. It's a familiar place for us to be. But it's different at this moment because this moment is only happening now. Just soak it in. So let the twist that we're going to take be a little bit more expansive around the chest, more so than twisty around the belly. You're going to take the arms and bring them up so you have like a cactus shape or a diamond shape even, where your hands are up above you and your elbows are open. I don't have a lot of room to do that. There we go, it's better. If this is way too much on your shoulders, just go ahead and bring your elbows down more. Don't torture your shoulder for no reason, but if the space is available, it can be really nice to kind of stretch out the top chest muscles this way. And just leaving things nice and open as they are. You're just going to take both knees over towards one side. Your legs might be really close or not so close. You can bring them closer if that feels better to you. Whatever way your knees are going, that opposite shoulder, can you soften it? Did it surprise you that your opposite shoulder was not soft? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it surprised you, it doesn't matter if it was tight, but we're gonna give it the opportunity to be less tight, less taut. Soften deeply into your next exhale. And take your knees up, roll them to the other side. And once you get there, you might adjust your legs a little bit. Just make sure you find a space that feels reasonable and soft to you. Let that opposite shoulder relax. One more exhale. Then come back to the middle. As your hips get more balanced, walk your feet a little bit further apart, let the knees knock in together, and then start to take the arms down. You can let the palms be open, or maybe your hands touch your body somewhere. And if there's anything else you need at the end of your practice, taking that and then coming to Shavasana, or taking that and coming back here to this more constructive rest pose. Also a great place to take Shavasana in this position, or maybe extend those legs out, let the feet flop open. Maybe there's that small snuggle of shoulder blades together, not enough to create tension or difficulty, just enough to allow the heart to open. Noticing if there's any differences between now taking this shape and what you remember about other points at which we've taken this shape today or other days. Settle into this shape right now, this moment right now. Letting the breath be slow and easy. Rest very well. back to your breath. Feel the ground beneath your body. This deeply rooted, steady space that we're in. And from that foundation, starting to wake yourself up and preparing for the rest of your day. When you're ready, roll over onto one side, curling in for a moment of gratitude for coming to the mat today. Gratitude for having this community to still share together with. And then starting to come up for your own version of a comfortable seat. Hands together at your heart. Heart expansive and lifted. Breathing in for the sound of Om. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within all of our hearts. Namaste. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Have a good week, April.
Thanks, you too, Sylvia. Bye, Rhonda. Bye, Ruthie.
So much.
Have a good week.
You too, Ruth.
Bye, everybody.